Hello to all the lovely cloud enthusiasts and a warm welcome to my channel, The Cloud Minds. How are you all doing? I hope that you all are doing great physically, mentally, financially, and I hope that you're taking steps to become a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. So today's topic is very interesting. Today's topic we are going to discuss about, in one of our previous videos, we have already discussed about how to attach EBS volume to one of the Windows EC2 instances. Today we are going to attach EBS volume to one of the Linux instances. Now there is slight bit of difference here. In Windows instance you can actually RDP and look at the Windows EC2 instance. You can RDP into it in a UI format, in a visual representation, and then you can actually go ahead, format the disk, and then look at how the disk behaves. But as I said, there's a slight bit of difference with the Linux instance, because in Linux most of it is either the shell commands or the Linux commands itself. So you'll have to do most of it using the Cloud Shell or the way we connect to the EC2 instance, the Linux EC2 instance for that matter. But before we go ahead, a quick introduction about me. My name is Tejas Mahendrakar. That's my LinkedIn page. If you click Tejas, the Cloud Simplifier, or Tejas Mahendrakar, you'll land on my page. You can always connect with me. I'll really be happy to connect with you all. The Cloud Minds is the channel on YouTube, and probably this is where you're watching this right now. Please do subscribe to the channel, because I keep sharing on YouTube as well as on LinkedIn. So do subscribe to my channel on YouTube and also connect with me on LinkedIn for more updates. If you have any doubts, you can always send an email to me on thecloudsimplifier@gmail.com. All right, let's go ahead. Without further ado, let's go ahead and understand what this EBS volumes is, and I'm sure within 10 minutes you'll be able to do it. Attach an EBS volume to the EC2 instance that is running on Linux using few simple commands, and I do have all of the commands. I'll make sure that I'll paste all of these commands in the description box. All right, guys, let's get started. As you all know, this is the homepage. Whenever we log in as one of the IAM users or the root users, this is the homepage or the dashboard page or the landing page that we see for the AWS, and we can click on EC2 and then we can go on the dashboard page of the EC2. Well, let's try to actually launch an EC2 Linux instance. I'm not going to take much of your time here. Let me quickly configure and then come back, and then I'll show you how to attach an EBS volume to this EC2 Linux instance. All right, let me configure this and I'll come back to you. Okay, let's review what we have done. I've just given the name as demo EC2 Linux instance because what we are trying to do, we are trying to attach the EBS volume to it. I've taken Amazon Linux because I want this to be a Linux instance, the one that is running on a Linux operating system. I've taken Linux latest EMI, and the instance type that I've taken is T2 micro. It doesn't matter, because any which ways we are not going to log into that instance. We're just going to connect to it, so it will be pretty quick. Okay, I've not provided any key pair. I've said let's proceed without the key pair. The networking part, I've just left it as default. The one thing that you need to note is the configure storage. Here you can configure up till 30 GBs of GP3 or GP2. I would prefer you go with either GP3 or GP2 because it is general purpose, of course. And I will go with, it doesn't matter, I'll go with 8 GB of volume as of now. So this is the root volume, guys, volume. Okay, and I have not changed anything else. The only thing that I've added is the user script, which I've added at the bottom. Let me go ahead and launch the instance. Okay, while the instance is launching, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create the volume as well. Now the volume is an EBS volume, like I said, Elastic Block Store. Now let's you see here there's an option for Elastic Block Store. If you click on volumes, this is where you can go ahead and create the volume. Now remember, once you create the volume, you'll have to also attach it to one of the instances. The instance can be either EC2 Linux instance or it can be an EC2 Windows instance. It doesn't matter, but you'll have to format the disk that way, the EBS volume in that way, so that the Windows or the Linux instance or the operating system can recognize this EBS volume, and then it can attach, and then you can perform certain actions within that EBS. Okay, so while creating the volume, I would always, it's my personal favorite, I'll just go with GP2 as of now. Of course, people also go with IOPS, optimized provisioned, or the GP3, but I would still go with GP2. I do not want 100 GB, I'll just need 10 GB of volume, and I'll have to be sure in which availability zone is this particular instance being launched, I have to create the EBS in that particular availability zone itself, so that I can attach the EBS volume to that particular instance. All right. I do not want to create any snapshot or I do not want to even encrypt. I'll leave all of the other configurations as default, and then I'll create the volume. Now once I create the volume, you see that it's still creating here. You just give it a quick refresh and then it shows that it is available now. Now once you see that it is available, you just have to click on actions, select that particular instance, click on actions and then say attach volume, and then you just have to click on the instance that you want to attach it to. Now remember guys, the EBS can only be attached to one instance at a time. It is not a networking kind of a system, a network file system, EFS, which is Elastic File System, or FSX for that matter for Windows. It is not like that. You can attach the EBS to only one instance at a time. One instance can have multiple EBS volumes, but the EBS can only be attached to one instance at a time. Okay, so it is asking for a device name. The first one that I look at it, I'll just create it, doesn't matter. The only thing that you need to look at is this particular information. Newer Linux kernel may rename the device as xvdf within internally. So it's okay. I already have the commands. So these are the commands, how you need to do it. I'll also, as I said, I'll also post these commands in the description so that it will help you to follow along. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just say attach volume. Now the volume, if you see here, it is in use. That is because it is attached to that particular EC2 instance which is running on Linux. Okay, now there are quite a few configurations that we need to do. Let's first see whether the 2 of 2 checks have passed. Yes, I can see that the status is okay and it is running. I just have to select it and then connect to that particular instance. Now let's wait for the instance to connect, and then I'll show you what steps you need to perform in order for this attached volume to actually mount on the Linux EC2 instance. Now attaching volume, as I said, is just one of the parts to it. You also need to mount the volume that you have attached, the EBS volume that you have attached to that particular instance, and that is what we are going to look at it now. Now I see that it is already connected. Now this is the present working directory. What I'll do is I'll just copy one by one all of these commands. I'll say cd/dev. Now why do I have to get in here? Because here is where I can see all of the volumes that are attached to the instances. Okay, this is the command where I can see what are all the volumes that are attached to that particular instance. I can see that my volume, my 10 GB volume is also attached, but it is not yet mounted. So you see there is no mount point here. So this is where it is very important for us to actually mount this, because if you just say ll here, you will see that our instance is attached, but you can see that it is not a directory yet. So we cannot cd or do anything into it. Okay, these are all the Linux command guys. So just do not worry about it. I'll explain everything here. Next, what I'm doing is I'm just making mkfs is one of the make file systems, and I'm giving it as now ext4 is one of the types by which the file system is created as a block file system. Okay, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create or make the file system. mkfs is make the file system. I'm using sudo because I want to act as of now as a super user. Okay, now you can see that it has created the file system of 4K blocks. These are all the configurations from the operating system which we are doing to the EBS volume so that it can be mounted on that particular operating system. So what I've done right now, I've just mkfs make file system. I've made a file system with ext4 as the configuration, and it has created those many blocks. Let me just clear the screen and then see what is the next one. I'm creating a directory. Now what I'm doing is I'm creating a directory under the mount. Now we are under, remember that we are already under, if I just say present working directory, we are under /dev, we are not under /mount. But what I'm doing is I'm creating a volume1 under /mnt. So I've created a directory called volume1 under mnt. Now so what I'm doing here is I'm actually mounting the volume that we have just by using the mkfs. We have created a volume. We have made the EBS or the volume in such a way that it can be mounted on the Linux system. And now right now what I'm doing is I'm actually mounting the dev xvdb to mount volume1. Okay, now this is done. So Now what it says is the volume that we had created or the volume that we had attached is actually mounted on the system. Next, what we need to do is we need to just see if that particular mount is successful or not by using df space -h. This is a command which we just ran previously. It is a similar command, but right now you can see that it is mounted on, it has now mounted this particular dev xvdb on the mount / volume1, which is a 10 GB. Of course, it will take some amount of space for itself. It will reserve some amount of space for itself for the operating system and for buffering purposes. But yeah, the 10 GB of volume is here, and we can see that it is being mounted on volume 1. Now, how can I log into it? Now I can just change the directory to that particular mount point, and I can log into that. Now, if you see, it is showing that it has already mounted this particular volume that we had attached on mount mnt and as a volume1, and now I can perform my actions here. If I just do ll here, you will see that there's nothing. There's just one of the directories, lost and found directories. There's nothing else. So what I'll do is I'll act as sudo, the super user, and I'll say touch test.txt. I'm just creating a file called test.txt. Now if I say ll, it will show that the text.txt is there. I'll just do sudo vi test.txt. Okay, and I've also provided the steps of what you need to do here. So all of the steps are being provided here. So what I'll do, I'll just hit I, which means there is an insert part, and I'll say hello world from EBS mounted on the Linux instance. So this is what it is. Once I'm done with my part, I just have to press escape, shift : write quit, and then an exclamation mark, so that I can save everything that I've written. Alright, now when I say cat test.txt, it will show whatever I have written within it. Now here if I do ll, it will show that there is apologies, actually I created two of them. I created a test.txt and I created a text.txt, and whatever I've written within the test.txt. Okay, so let me just clear it out, and then to check whatever is written within the test.txt, you need to type the command like we have already done, cat test.txt, and it will show you what it has written. Now this is this simple, guys. Now you can perform any operation that is required on this particular EBS volume that is attached to the Linux instance, and then later you can detach from that particular Linux instance, and you can attach to a different Linux instance as well. Now consider this as, you have an external hard disk with you, or a pen drive for that matter. You can just consider it as that. So before you mount it to either a Linux or a different operating system, you'll have to format the pen drive, you'll have to format the hard disk drive. So that is how it is, so that the operating systems can actually recognize this hard drive, the external hard drive that you have attached. So this is pretty much similar to it. Okay. So now once we are done with it, we can also detach it back. I just have to click on this and then say in actions, sorry, not here, that was my mistake. So you just have to come here in volumes and then say detach volume. Now let me just refresh it once. For some reason the detach was not being shown. Let me just refresh it once and I'll come back once. Let me just refresh it once, and once I've refreshed, I can see that the volume is still in use. I just have to select that particular 10 GB volume, and then I can detach the volume. Okay, I can as well force detach. If the volume thinks that it is still being accessed, I can still force detach it and then attach it to some different volume. Of course, we can as well create snapshots, keep the snapshot, and then use the snapshots for the next volume itself. So it will copy all of the data that is available within this particular EBS to the next EBS, wherever you are planning to add it. Okay, now you see that the volume is successfully detached from that particular Linux EC2 instance. If you just refresh, now it will say that it is available. It's still showing in use, but the detachment is already in progress. Now it says that it is available now because it has been detached from the EC2 Linux instance. Now this is how it is. Now I can go ahead and attach it to some other EC2 instance. If I've created a Linux EC2 instance, of course I can also attach it to the Windows EC2 instance that is not an issue, but then you'll not be able to access the files that are with it. Okay, that is why you have to always consider attaching the EBS that is created using the ext4 file system to a Linux instance. And otherwise, if you have just created an EBS volume that is recognizable by the Windows instance, then you can attach it to a different Windows instance, guys. That is how it is. Alright, that is what I wanted to show you all. I'm really happy that you all stayed till last to see how it is. I'm sure that you are also following along. You're also doing it in you're also doing the practical or the practice in your own root account or the IAM account that has been provided to you, so that you get some more hands-on and you get some more practice and understanding about the cloud technology. Alright, thank you. As I said, a great thanks for being till the end, and the one thing that I request you all is to subscribe to my channel. The statistics say that 75 to 80% of you who are watching these videos are not subscribed to my channel, so it's a humble request for you all to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment as well if you want something else to be changed here, or if you want videos on some other topics. You can always send me a comment and email so that I can take that off for the next content. Alright guys, this is Tejas signing off, and you all have a great day. Thank you.